What is up, guys? Today I'm going to show you probably one of my most requested videos, and it's going to start you on your wonderful journey of airbrushing tumblers. Woo! Let's get started. And today I have the top 10 things to show you to get you started and to get you feeling comfortable on this bad boy. So let's go. First things first, you gotta take it out. This airbrush that I have in the link below in the description comes with 3 different tip sizes, a 0.5, a 0.3, and a 0.2. Of course, that means the different size, and a 0.3 is in it, so that's all you need. You don't need to worry about those others just yet. Now, that wasn't tip number 1. Tip number 1 is you have to have a way to blow the air. You could probably put your mouth right here and blow, and you might get something. But you probably want to get an air compressor and a hose. So I have this brand new air compressor. I just bought this yesterday. I'm just kidding. I've had it like 10 years, really. So you can get one of these portable air compressors, or I have a bigger one right here that I bought. I just bought this one yesterday too. I'm just kidding. I've had this one even longer. But you need some sort of, whoops, dropped the cup. You need some sort of air compressor and a hose. So I've got this curly hose and I've got this braided hose. Whichever one you like. Whatever comes with your air compressor is fine. It's no big deal. And most of them come with these little hooker owners things. And I also have a description to an air compressor in the link in the description. Along with the air compressor, you'll need a regulator. The little ones have one built in with the knob and the gauge. And if you're using a bigger stand-up air compressor, you'll need to get a regulator. I like to set my air pressure between 20 and 30 psi, somewhere around there. You just have to feel the air pressure and just get a feel for it. Sometimes the gauges aren't exactly right, and it doesn't really matter to be exact. You just gotta get the feel for it. Now you'll also want some sort of water trap. This one hooks on between your air hose and your airbrush, and I like this one that hooks on to your big air compressor. This one works much better. This one, not so much. You release the water with the button right here. This one you don't usually have to mess with. You're not going to get that much water. You should. Usually. Next, you got to find something to put in there so you can paint. I use regular automotive base coats, urethane, Createx, water-based illustration, and the Wicked line. When you're using this, you're definitely going to have to get the 40-30. Every mix you put in your cup, you want to put 3 to 5 drops of this. Helps for flow and adhesion. Or you can use alcohol inks straight from the bottle, which is what we're going to do today. So now that you've selected what kind of paint you're going to use, hey, what are you doing? Not flamingo. Let's use blue. Then let's put some in and do some spraying. This brings me to my next step. Always put the caps on things if they have caps, just like your paints, to keep them from drying out. And more importantly, this is very important, because when you get to going and this stuff will splatter right out of there and ruin whatever you just did. Now that you got your paint in here, let's show you how to get it out of there. Now this might be common sense, but sometimes it's not. This is called a double action airbrush. What that means is down gives you your air, and pulling back makes the paint come out. See, watch. Can you see that on the camera? There you go. This rolls right into the next tip, is what somebody once told me a long time ago. They keep the phrase, keep the air on dummy. They were super loving. So what that means is every time you're wanting to pull the trigger back, you keep the air on, whether you're back or not. That'll keep you from clogging up the tip. Air on, always, before you pull back. Otherwise, if you pull back and then hit the air, it gives you splatters. Now, sometimes you want to do that, and that's a cool trick to remember. But it makes a mess sometimes on your tip there. Can you see that? See, I got some blue building up right there from that. So keep the air on, dummy. Speaking of tip, sometimes it will get clogged up, and you want to take this first part off right here. Sometimes I like to airbrush with this off, but you got to be careful, because if you bend this, you pretty much can't really paint anything. You have to get another needle or a needle sharpener, which I'll put a link to a needle sharpener below. It has come in handy and saved a lot of time from me having to go buy another needle, because you see how tiny and sharp they are. I mean, look at that thing. So I like to take a microfiber cloth and just put it on there and kind of give a little gentle, because the needle will bend and you don't want that. Pick that little stuff off and you're probably good to go again. Now that you're loaded up and ready to spray, and you know how to make the spray come out, we're going to talk about distance. Near, far, near, far. Just kidding. Obviously, the closer you are and the more you pull the trigger back, little bit, lot of bit. Whoa, did you see that? And the back further you are, the more subtle it is. And the harder you have to pull the trigger to get there. I'm way back here now. Up close. Barely pulling the trigger back. And you want to practice some lines. And we'll cover that in another video. I'll give you 3 tricks or practices that you can do to help improve your line work and your control. So shade, and let's draw a ball. Put a highlight, shadow. See, I'm backing up, pulling trigger back, closer for tight lines. Of course, I'm doing one-handed. That brings me to my next tip. The next tip is technique. Most of the time, you're going to want to hold with 2 hands. 2 hands is the best technique. If you have 2 hands. If you don't, then just use one, because hey, listen, we don't discriminate around here. If you have 1 hand, just use it. But if you have 2, use it. What I like to do is hold it like a pencil, you know. So if you hold a pencil like this, you're going to hold your airbrush like this. Pretty much the same thing. And you can do one-handed if you like, but the best way is to kind of rest your hand here and have your arms on something, or you can just float them in the air. But the 2-hand technique is the best for control, especially if you're just starting out. And you're going to want to look right here, line of sight. You can hold like this, which I like. Finger resting there. The rest of it's resting on the front of my fingers, and my thumb is just helping to steady myself. Or you can just grab it like you're trying to choke it and do it like that. But I usually tend to kind of give a little gentle balance there. And now we're done. So what do you do when you're done? You clean it out. And that's our last tip. And very important, actually, if you want to keep this thing working. Because just leave it overnight and don't clean it out, and you'll probably have to do some major taking apart and re-clean them. And I'll show you that if I get a request for it in another video. All right, so we've got one more tip left to get you started on your way to airbrushing. But first, I wanted to give something away. And Tom Thumb Glitters was so generous enough to send all these glitters that I'm going to give away to one person. And how you enter to that is you just leave a comment below and say, I want some glitter, or anything funny or cool with the word glitter in it. And you're going to win all this beautiful, doesn't smell like anything, but it's glitter, and they're blends, and they're awesome things. So go check out Tom Thumb Glitter's Etsy shop. The link is right here. And for you losers, I mean, the ones that don't win, she is also giving you guys a promo code to get 10% off by putting in Duncan AB10 at her Etsy shop. How generous is that? That's the spirit of the holidays. Merry Christmas. Now back to the airbrushing. Last tip, number 10, and then you're done. Just start airbrushing. For this, I brought you over to ye old trash bag. Now, if you get paint on this, you're gonna wanna clean that too. Depending on what type of paint you're using, depending on what you clean it with. With the Createx, you're going to just use the reducer, or you can use what I like to do is Windex with ammonia in it. But for this, we're going to use, you guessed it, alcohol. So spray out, dump it if you'd like, and air on, trigger back, spray. And if you have stuff on your lid, put it on, turn the air on, and give it a good shake and spray. Take your lid off, clean it with your microfiber cloth. Dump this and spray at the same time. Pull back, do it again, dump and spray. Then take your microfiber cloth and give it a good clean. Now, if you notice there's some blue paint still in there, then you're going to want to take your alcohol and put some in the bottom. Take one of your brushes. Ooh, sparkly. So give it a little, and then dry it off on your rag and spray. Do that a few times till it gets good and clean, and then we're going to sit it and put it up. And I'll show you where we do that. Once you're all done and waiting until the next time you get to use it, I like this handy dandy airbrush holder that clamps to your work table. It holds 4 airbrushes. As you can see, I have 3 on it. I mean 4. The link to this airbrush holder is also in the description. Many of the things I mentioned are in the description to help you guys out, to get you on your journey to airbrushing. So enjoy, and we'll have some more videos like this if you guys like it. Leave some comments below, and goodbye.